Magnolia Springs is not the place most people talk about first when they start researching the Alabama Gulf Coast. Most people hear about Gulf Shores, they hear about Orange Beach, they hear about Foley, Fairhope, Daphne, and Spanish Fort. But Magnolia Springs is one of those places that makes people stop and say, wait, what is this? Because it does not feel like a beach town. It does not feel like a busy shopping area. It does not feel like a fast-growing suburb with big roads and lots of commercial development. Magnolia Springs feels quieter, slower, more tucked away, and more connected to the river, the trees, and the small town feel that a lot of people are actually looking for when they move to Baldwin County. But here's the most important part. That lifestyle is not for everyone. Some people absolutely love the quiet. Other people may feel like it's too quiet. Some people love that it feels tucked away. Other people may feel like they're driving for too many things. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what it's really like living in Magnolia Springs, Alabama. The lifestyle, the location, the trade-offs, and who this area may or may not be a fit for. And as always, this is not about saying one area is better than another. It is about helping you understand the lifestyle before you choose the home. If this is your first time on the channel, I'm really glad you're here. I'm Miranda Baldridge with Advantage Real Estate, your local go-to realtor and community connector right here in Baldwin County, Alabama. I help people relocate to Magnolia Springs, Foley, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Fairhope, Daphne, Spanish Fort, Robertsdale, and all the surrounding areas. And one thing I always tell buyers is that Baldwin County is not one single lifestyle. Living in Magnolia Springs feels very different from living in Gulf Shores. It feels different from Foley, and it feels very different from the Eastern Shore communities like Fairhope, Daphne, and Spanish Fort. So if you're thinking about moving to Baldwin County or anywhere near the Alabama Gulf Coast, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I share honest videos about what it's really like living here. All right, let's talk about Magnolia Springs. The first thing to understand about Magnolia Springs is that it has a very quiet, tucked away feel. This is not the place you choose if you want to be in the middle of everything. You do not move to Magnolia Springs because you want big shopping centers, busy nightlife, or constant activity right outside your door. You move to Magnolia Springs because you want something calmer. It has a more small town, scenic, slower paced feel. The roads can feel more peaceful. The trees and natural surroundings are a big part of the atmosphere. And the overall lifestyle feels more relaxed than some of the busier areas nearby. For the right person, that is the whole appeal. They want to feel like they're away from the traffic and activity, but not completely disconnected from Baldwin County. But if you are someone who wants everything close, fast, and convenient, this may not be the best fit for you. Magnolia Springs is charming because it is quieter, but that quiet lifestyle also means you need to be comfortable with a slower pace. One of the things that makes Magnolia Springs special is the Magnolia River. The river runs through the town and gives the area a different kind of character. This is not like living directly on the Gulf beaches, and it is not like living in a busy waterfront condo area. It feels more natural, more peaceful, and more local. The river is one of the reasons Magnolia Springs feels so unique compared to other parts of Baldwin County. You have this sense of history and scenery that gives the town a personality of its own. And one of the most interesting things about Magnolia Springs is that this is the only official year-round dock-to-dock residential mail delivery in the United States. The Magnolia River is known for its river route mail delivery, which services just about 180 riverside mailboxes and is one of those details that makes the town feel very different from almost anywhere else. That does not mean every home is on the river or every person lives a waterfront lifestyle, but the river is a big part of the town's identity. It helps explain why people are drawn to Magnolia Springs in the first place. It feels like a place with character, not just another residential area on a map. Another thing to understand is that Magnolia Springs is close enough to Foley that many people use Foley for shopping, restaurants, groceries, medical offices, and everyday errands. That is important because Magnolia Springs itself is not a major commercial area. You are not going to have the same level of shopping and convenience right inside town that you have in Foley. But that is also part of why Magnolia Springs feels the way it does. Foley is more practical and commercial. Magnolia Springs is quieter and more residential. So for some buyers, this is a really nice balance. They like the idea of living somewhere peaceful, but still being able to drive to Foley when they need errands, restaurants, or services. They do not necessarily want to live in the busiest part of Foley. They just want access access to it. This is one of the biggest reasons Magnolia Springs can be appealing. You get the charm, tucked away lifestyle, but you're not so far out that you feel completely isolated. Daily life in Magnolia Springs is usually more about peace than convenience, and I mean that in a very practical way. If your normal week involves running to different stores, going out to eat often, wanting lots of options nearby, and being close to major roads, you may feel like Magnolia Springs is a little too quiet. But if your normal week is more about being home, enjoying your surroundings, taking a slower pace, and not needing constant activity, Magnolia Springs may feel like a very comfortable fit. This is where buyers really need to be honest with themselves. A lot of people say they want quiet, but quiet can feel different once you live it every day. For some people, quiet feels peaceful. For others, quiet feels inconvenient. That is why I always recommend thinking about your real routine. Where do you grocery shop? How often do you go out? How often do you want to be near the beach? Do you want neighbors close by, or do you want more space? Do you want a town that feels active, or do you want something more relaxed? Magnolia Springs is not trying to be everything. It is a better fit for people who genuinely want a slower, quieter lifestyle. Another important thing to understand is that Magnolia Springs is not a beach town. Yes, you are in South Baldwin County. Yes, you are within driving distance of Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, but living in Magnolia Springs is not the same as living near the sand. Your day-to-day life will not feel like Gulf Shores or Orange Beach. You are not surrounded by beach condos, vacation rentals, beach restaurants, and heavy tourism in the same way. That can be a positive or a negative, depending on what you want. If you want to be close to the Gulf beaches and feel that beach energy every day, Magnolia Springs may feel too removed. But if you like the idea of being within reach of the beaches without living directly in the busiest coastal areas, Magnolia Springs may make sense. This is the difference between beach access and beach living. Magnolia Springs gives you access. It does not give you the full-time beach town lifestyle. And for many people, that's exactly why they like it. Housing in Magnolia Springs can also feel different from some of the more suburban or beach-focused markets nearby. This is not the type of place where every neighborhood feels the same. Depending on the property, you may find homes with more character, more trees, more privacy, or a more natural setting. Some buyers are drawn to that because they do not want a cookie-cutter feel. They want something that feels more personal. They want a home and a setting that match that slower lifestyle of the town. But the trade-off is that inventory can be more limited because Magnolia Springs is a smaller community. You may not have as many options at any given time compared to a larger city like Foley or a busier market like Gulf Shores. So if you're very specific about what you want, you may need patience. And if you're comparing Magnolia Springs to bigger communities, you need to understand that the search may feel different. It is not always about having dozens of similar homes to choose from. It may be more about waiting for the right fit. Magnolia Springs may be a good fit if you want quiet, character, and a slower pace. It may be a good fit if you like the idea of living near the Magnolia River, being surrounded by a more natural setting, and feeling tucked away from the busier parts of Baldwin County. It may also be a good fit if you want access to Foley and the beaches, but you do not want to live directly in a busy commercial or tourist area. But Magnolia Springs may not be the right fit if you want lots of shopping, restaurants, entertainment, or beach access right outside your door. It may not be the right fit if you want a highly walkable downtown, a large number of housing options, or a more active suburban feel. And it may not be the right fit if convenience is your top priority. The people who tend to appreciate Magnolia Springs are usually people who understand the trade-off. They are willing to drive a little more because they value the quiet. They're willing to have fewer immediate options because they like the character. They're not looking for the busiest or most obvious place. They're looking for a place that feels right. So what is it really like living in Magnolia Springs, Alabama? It is quiet, it is scenic, it's a small town, feels tucked away, and it offers a very different lifestyle from Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Foley, Fairhope, Daphne, and Spanish Fort. And for the right person, that can be exactly what makes it special. But for the wrong person, it may feel too quiet, too limited, or too far from the activity they want. So before you choose Magnolia Springs, think about your normal week. Think about how often you want to drive. Think about how close you want to be to shopping, restaurants, and the beach. And think about whether you truly want a slower pace or whether you just like the idea of it. And if you're thinking about moving to Magnolia Springs, Foley, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Fairhope, Daphne, Spanish Fort, Robertsdale, or anywhere in Baldwin County, feel free to reach out to me. I help people compare these areas all the time, and I'd be happy to help you figure out which one fits your life lifestyle, your budget, and your long-term goals. You can call, text, or email me anytime. All of my contact information is in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, and I hope you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I share honest videos about what it's really like living along the Alabama Gulf Coast. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.